Boxing, under the promotion of Top Rank Incorporated in association with Budweiser, proud to be your bud. Matchmaker Bruce Trampler. Tonight's bouts are under the auspices of the Nevada State Athletic Commission. The chairman is Dr. Elias Granum and the attending executive director, Mark Ratner. Ring officials assigned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Your ringside physicians are Dr. James McLennan, Dr. Joseph Heflin, and Dr. John Wickman. Your timekeeper this evening is the sensational Steve Menzel. Counting for the knockdowns at the bell, the jolly one himself, John Rogers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Top Rank Incorporated, in association with Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Association and Budweiser, the undisputed king of beers, presents HBO Sports main event of the evening, 12 rounds for the WBU Light Heavyweight Championship of the world. Ring officials assigned by the World Boxing Union, President John Robinson, Chairman Ed Levine, Supervisor in attendance, the dandy one Don Hazelton. Your judges at ringside are, from Carson City, Nevada, Keith McDonald, from Las Vegas, Nevada, John Rupert, and from Virginia City, Nevada, Doug Tucker. Your referee for this event, from Reno, Nevada, refereeing his 92nd World Championship fight, Mills Lane. Introducing now the principals. First, in the blue corner to my right, the challenger wearing the ice blue trunks, weighing in at 173 pounds. He is undefeated in 25 professional bouts. He has 18 wins by way of knockout. He hails from Chicago, Illinois, Montell Ice Griffin. His opponent in the red corner, wearing the dark gold trunks, weighing 175 pounds. His professional record, 53 victories, 2 defeats, 2 draws. He has 35 knockouts. He hails now from Las Vegas, Nevada, the WBU Light Heavyweight Champion of the world, James Lights Out Toney. 12 rounds for the WBU Light Heavyweight Championship of the world.
All right, gentlemen, we've always gone through the instructions of the dressing room one time. Protect yourself at all times. Any questions from the challenger? From the champion? Let's get it on.
Since 2 years ago, Griffin has added 2 years of important experience to a young fighter. Toney appears to me, at least, to be in better shape than he was the first time. Does this make for a better fight? We'll see.
Montell Griffin with an extremely unorthodox style. He'll duck to one side and then throw a punch with the other hand. He will eliminate the jab from his repertoire for long periods and try to lead with hooks. Then he comes back and starts over with the jab. James Toney starts out conventionally, but he can do it all. He can counter, he can lead, he's a hard puncher when he's right.
Something Toney is doing this time that he didn't do the last time. He's jabbing Montell to his body. The left hand is very effective to the stomach. Then he goes back on top.
So you'd like to see him starting out with that left jab to the body, and there it was.
Well, sometimes the fighter have to establish, I can't touch you by going to the body. And he's waiting for Montell as though Montell has an equally long jab as his, when he does not have to.
He doesn't. Griffin stepping in closer and pumping his jab twice in the closing rounds of the first fight. James Toney was trying hard to set up a big right hand, but never could land it. Griffin was elusive, and he uses that height to his advantage, George.
Very elusive. Toney in the last time around was trying to land 1 and 2 shots at a time. Now he knows that Montell can recover quickly, so keep winning round after round.
I have to believe, George, that the key for James Toney is the body punching. When he's been great in some of his major triumphs in the past, against Prince Charles Williams and against some of the other good fighters he's beaten, Michael Nunn, he was brutal to the body, and there's a good combo up top by Montell Griffin.
And this time around, Montell Griffin punches has a little more sting to them than the first round of the first fight. I like that, a little power this time. He's got to get Toney's respect.
Griffin likes to lean back and tempt you to come in, then he tries to counter. Or lead like that.
That's something new that Toney has brought here. Montell Griffin tends to spin out to his right. You saw Toney trying to nail him with the right as he turned.
As we go to the corners between rounds, you're looking at two corners loaded with boxing talent. In James Toney's corner, you have Miguel Diaz working with trainer Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. In Griffin's corner, the legendary Eddie Futch working with Thel Torrance, who will be training Riddick Bowe next Saturday night in Atlantic City. Those are four men deeply steeped in boxing knowledge.
Loosen up a little bit, a little tight. Use that jab, double it, feint and jab, double the jab. He's trying to counter on the jab now.
Get down. Who is it? All the way down.
Man, go to the body and turn with him and dig that left hook. That's all you got to do. The jab is our key. Pump it all day, baby. They ain't used to that. Let him run and duck and dip. He got to fight. Keep that jab on him at all times. That's what's going to win us the fight. Easy. He don't want to fight. He don't want to fight. He don't want to. He don't want to do nothing.
James Toney following instructions from Eddie Mustafa Muhammad threw 38 jabs in round one and connected on 15 of them. That's the jab activity that Toney's corner wants to see throughout the fight. Toney wobbles backward.
We've seen Toney do that before. He tends to square up a little bit and get off balance, but that was a legitimate punch.
No doubt about it. Griffith surprised him. Griffith somehow has come up with some power from somewhere.
Well, plus he hits you from those odd angles with punches that you don't always see coming, George.
Now, Toney is going to have to be consistent. Keep that jab going to the body.
Hard right hand by Toney.
Because Griffin is able to counter when you jab him because you're taller. He's accustomed to countering up high, but not to the body. And that's a hard thing for a young fighter to get hit hard and then go back to your original tactic of sticking with your tactic.
Toney beginning to revive the jab. Staying upstairs with the jab in this round. Now he goes back down to the body and Griffin counters over it with a left hand. Montell Griffin throwing fewer punches than James Toney, but making his count. There's a wild miss.
Griffin this time is coming in to show him power. This time there's a lot of power in that left hook, and he understands if he steps to Toney's right a bit, Toney is defenseless. Go on the left side of Toney, and he just doesn't seem to have any mobility.
So Griffin should move to his right or to his left?
Griffin should move to his right.
To his right. Beyond Toney's left hand.
Toney just doesn't seem to function on that left side.
And Toney a little slow there to remove himself from range, as Montell Griffin was able to get him with the second shot after missing the first.
Time. Okay, that's one. Come on, let's go. Come on.
Sometimes when you leave with a good hook like that, it tells you what this guy plans on doing all night. So,
Time.
You see how easy this is? You see how easy it is? Hey, pump to him. You gotta give me some more jab. It's so easy. He want to turn you and spin you. He's a survivor now. All right, what I'm saying? You gotta pump some more jab. The right hand's gonna come. Get him used to the jab. Keep stepping in. Hands up, James. And don't back.
Let's see that short punch that materialized when they were in close early in the round. Well, it was not a punch that landed very solidly. It looked like Toney was off balance after throwing punches of his own, and that Griffey just touched him and pushed him off balance. And yet something like that can influence the officials.
that's true.
But James Toney, a different fighter technically tonight than in the first fight. In the first fight, he averaged 16 attempted jabs per round. In the first 2 rounds of this fight, he's averaging 40. So he's more than doubled his jab output. And George, that's good for Toney, right?
I think that's good for any fighter who's want to really maintain. You're taller, use that jab. Whenever he throws that jab, there's no way he can be countered on top of it. He has the reach advantage.
Occupying Griffin with the jab much of the time. Go ahead, George.
Griffin, he gets low and he gives you the illusion that, hey, I can hit you, but if you stay your distance, he can't counter. You have the reach advantage. Take advantage of it.
Indeed. Most of Griffin's offense depends on you coming in at him.
He drops his hand and gives you the illusion that I'll hit you if you miss. Believe me, he can't. You have to get to his range, get a little closer so he's able to hit you. But whenever Griffin moves to his right, Toney has no defense for that move, for that step.
There it was. Griffin stepping around to James Toney's left side and firing a right hand over the top of Toney's left shoulder. Toney with nothing to offer in return. Trainer Eddie Futch said he wanted Montell Griffin to conduct this fight in wide circles around the outside of the ring. Keep moving James Toney laterally so that he can't set his feet.
And that's exactly what he should be doing now.
Another little counter left hand in there by Griffin. Toney acknowledged to us that in the first fight against Griffin, he had trouble setting his feet to try to land a right hand. Another balance lost by Toney.
He threw a good right hand and tried to jump back, but he's almost fell backwards. It's only because Toney does not like to come back with his hook. After you throw that right hand, come back with a left hook. No knockdown, he's correct. Toney just does not want to get back with that left hook to get his position back.
Why is he having so much trouble with his balance, George? That's it?
Yeah, you got to come back with your left hook to get your balance back, and he's just sitting there right hand and nothing else.
Straight left hand lands for Griffin. James Toney seeming to have lost continuity here in the latter stages of round 3. Not quite sure what to do with Montell Griffin, who is hopping and scoring.
And that happens a lot when a big heavy puncher gets in with a guy who's quicker. You tend to want to throw one punch and jump back rather than throwing 3 punches and stay where you are.
Interesting fight. Tactical battle, shifting tides of fortune as round 3 comes to a close.
Are you taking 2 many steps back? Me? Okay, yeah. Don't take one. You don't have to take more than 1 step back. Okay, and hold it.
right, go ahead,
Okay. Use that hook off the jab. Use that hook off the jab. When you step around, throw that hook.
Let's see if we can pick up what Toney is doing here. He just can't find. Look,
Larry,
George, he just can't even find.
And not
Griffin.
only that, you watch Griffin left foot. It's on the outside of Toney's
The right hand is going to
foot.
come. That's going to be
He
easy.
keeps it right
Keep
there
pumping
on
the
the
jab.
outside,
With the body
and
shot.
that's the problem. You cannot allow a fighter to get on the outside of your left foot.
All right, watch your
Why?
balance in there.
You got to steer him. Keep your left foot in between him. It's like steering a car, but once he gets his foot on the outside, you've lost him automatically, and you're going to miss with your left hook.
And in that overhead shot, you could see exactly where Griffin's foot was, carefully positioned to the outside of James's lead foot.
Which is an old trick, and you would wonder why Toney's corner hasn't caught on to it.
Toney's punch output dropped precipitously in round number 3 as he had more and more trouble finding Griffin in there. Griffin moving more and more toward his right, away from James Toney's left hand, which, as George Foreman points out, befuddles the former 2-time champion. Now Griffin moves back in the other direction.
Toney is allowing him once again to get, Montell is getting his left foot on the outside of Toney's left foot. You cannot allow him to do that. You're going to miss him every time with a left hook, or even with a jab.
That's a good point. There he goes again. Griffin putting his foot on the outside of Toney's lead foot and cracking a right hand over the top of Toney's shoulder.
And this is why you not only have corner people, you should have scouts on the outside of the ring going back to the corner, telling them what's going on.
Well, Eddie Futch said yesterday that oftentimes in a rematch, George, you have a harder time getting your fighter to follow a fight plan because he's seen the opponent. He has his own ideas about what to do. But Montell Griffin appears to be following a fight plan to the letter here.
That's true. The one thing about keeping your left foot on the outside of your opponent, it takes a lot of effort. And believe me, it starts hurting those stomach muscles pretty quick.
Griffin looking at Lane and saying, I got hit with a low blow. Meanwhile, Toney landed a hard right hand to punctuate that exchange. Good straight left hand in tight by Griffin. Toney comes back with a left and a right.
Toney has to be very careful not to go looking for a knockout. You let a knockout come to you. If you're a puncher, you don't have to get stressed out. Now Montell Griffin is having to reach around to the left side now. He's not able to keep that balance, keep that foot around there as effortlessly as he did the first couple of rounds.
James Toney picking up the pace just a little bit. Starting to throw more punches again as he did in the first couple of rounds. But Griffin still countering effectively.
Now Toney is going back to the old James Toney. You let the guy grab you and you grab his arm and wait for a big shot. He has to go back to the left jab.
Montell Griffin committing much more to his punches tonight than was the case in the first fight. You're absolutely right, George. He's trying to make a power impression on Toney.
He's got a big line down his back that shows you there's power there now, muscle. Big dent in the back.
You can't do jack shit. You scared of you? Now let's give you some body shots. Bend your legs inside. Get a little close to him now. Bend your legs inside and let your hands go now. All right? Let your hands go and keep the pressure on. You feel like a champ, right? I know it, baby. Give him some water. I like that. Keep the jab on him. Inside close. Bend your legs and fire both hands to the body. And keep that right hand up for his left hook. He don't want to fight. He want to survive. That's all he want to do.
Here's what George is talking about with Griffin's left foot. You can see him moving to the outside of Toney's left foot from time to time. But there you saw Toney move back to his left, and that enabled him to throw that punch. Did I get that right, George?
Beautiful.
George is always thrilled when Larry and I manage to grasp a technical point. Harold Letterman, how do you have it scored through the first fight?
I don't know. Maybe I'm watching a different fight. 30
39-37, 3 rounds to 1, James Toney. Jim, let me tell you something. As a judge, I always look for this effective aggressiveness. I think that James Toney is punching awfully harder because of the fact that he's moving forward. And I don't see how Montell can get any power whatsoever. Spinning to the side, moving backwards. He doesn't set his feet. He's punching off the back foot. On the other hand, James nails him like he did just there with that right hand. I think Tony's winning the fight so far. 3-1 Toney. I have it 2-1-1 for Toney.
Incidentally,
this can be an awful difficult fight to score, Jim.
I started to say, I think both of you guys scored the fight for Toney on February 18, 1995 as well. And you weren't that far from, normal perception, because a lot of people thought that fight could have been a draw or a Toney victory. It was a very difficult fight to score.
Yeah. Toney has a tendency, after he's hurt a guy over and over, he stopped piling up points and he started looking for a knockout. He can make an awful bad mistake after 12 rounds. He's landed the most powerful punches, but not enough. Points count.
Well, and it's a bad piece of strategy because James Toney's knockouts invariably come from accumulated punishment. He's not the kind of guy who will put a man down with one blow unless he's punished him over a long period of time. Got in a hard right hand there.
That's right, but he didn't come back with a left hook. He let Montell, as a matter of fact, hit him back.
He used to have that left hook to the body. Where'd it go?
Well, Montell has got good footwork. He doesn't allow you to just set up and come back after you've hit him with one shot.
All right, what's the head? Come on. All right, where's Montell? Here it comes. Get off that neck like that. Come on, work out.
Whenever Toney moves his left jab, it's a different fight altogether. When he stops and starts plotting along, then it's another fight. Montell has got a good right hand. He's just not using it. I don't know why.
Griffin almost switched southpaw there and turned back to the conventional stance. Both fighters promised that they would switch into southpaw stances at some point during the fight, but neither man has done it so far. Hard to get comfortable enough to do something like that when both fighters are landing. Yep, there was the
first left hook, and he got it.
Yep. Griffin wasn't ready for it. Toney with a clean left hook shot.
But he has to go back and get more points. Don't start looking for a knockout, because this guy recovers.
As he showed you right there with the fast recovery and a straight right hand inside.
It's important that you don't land your punches and walk straight back, okay? And don't go the same way all the time. Go this way, then cut off. Now, when you get ready to cut off, or you get to the bump, you just walk right around to the side. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Don't let him walk past your left hand. Give him the left hand in the face before you get there. Okay? All right. How you feel? When you're working those time.
Griffin calls himself Ice. Calls this the Ice Age. Here you see Toney trying to crack the ice.
And for the first
with
time,
a left hand.
He faked the right hand.
No, no, baby.
Feinted with the right,
Came
up with the left.
Bend your legs when
So
you
that's
touch
a
your
tactic
legs.
we're likely to see again.
Hey, you been
The
down.
old fake.
Toney has a tendency to stand up fairly straight and somewhat stiff-legged. In the first fight, trainer Eddie Mustafa Muhammad said that was his biggest failing, that he didn't bend his knees and get down to Griffin's level enough.
You know, we could go into all kinds of technicalities about what happened in that fight, but basically, Toney ran out of steam in the last 3 rounds because he was winning the fight up until then. And right now, it appears that the only issues are, does he have the conditioning to fight most of every minute of every round? Or 2, will he trip over those impossibly long trunks?
But his left jab is excellent this time. He goes up to the head only after he's established the reach with the left jab to the body. Griffin is holding the right hand back as though it's a big weapon. He should be landing a lot more. That's very smart of Toney. Although he's hurt him a few times, he goes back to the left jab.
Do we see anything here, in your opinion, George, that would say that a rematch with Jones could have a different scenario?
That Roy Jones operates so well on the left side of his opponent. He's not only good when he's standing in front of you, he moves over there and gives you something. He makes you, he hurts you. He's got things together.
He's hard to find, and he finds you.
Did I answer the question?
In a manner of speaking.
Yeah. But Toney is doing an excellent job tonight. If only he pile up points. You just can't win these things just because you landed a heavier punch. Toney's corner should tell him to get alert, win these rounds, stand up.
Watching Griffin fight reminds me of what it used to be like back in the 60s watching Juan Marichal pitch. Every punch comes from a different angle. None of them are orthodox. Hard left hand. Toney puts his head down as if to say, "No, you didn't hurt me at all." But Montell Griffin piling up points with exchanges like that.
Very good combination, his best of the fight.
You never can count Griffin out. Though you beat him, though you whipped him and hurt him, he still has something left.
Tries to make you miss and counter.
Well-conditioned fighter, too.
And all of these things happen because Toney deserted his left jab.
All right, watching the bout live with us in Pensacola, Florida. You saw him 2 Friday nights ago here as he scored a unanimous decision over Mike McCallum at 175 pounds. His brand new light heavyweight belt holder, Roy Jones Jr., also the world champion at 168 pounds. Roy, very briefly, what do you think of what you've seen in the first half of this bout between Montell Griffin and James Toney?
Montell started out with a very good strategy, which was to stay to James Toney's left. He was doing very good with that in the beginning, but now he seems to be getting away from that. I don't know if James Toney hit him with that little short right hand and changed his mind or what may have happened. But now he's staying more in front of James Toney, and this is where James Toney is at his best. This allows James Toney to do more of what he likes to do.
What do you think will happen next?
I don't know. It's according to who keeps their fight plan. If Griffin goes back to getting to the outside of Toney, he would be okay. If he doesn't, then Toney will eventually knock him out.
All right, thank you very much, Roy, and thanks for being with us. We'll come back to you at the end of the bout for a more general discussion of the light heavyweight division. And, of course, one of the subjects there will be what happens to the man who wins this fight. Larry?
I thought Roy gave us an excellent capsule analysis of this fight.
Echoing some of the things that George Foreman has been telling you throughout the bout about how effective Griffin is when he stays to Toney's left and how effective Toney is when he's able to jab and throw the right hand behind it. Montell Griffin's only had 1 knockout past the 6th round in his whole career. That was against the ultra-skinny Matthew Charleston a little bit earlier this year, not in James Toney's league. So you don't expect Griffin to score a knockout beyond this unless Toney makes some horrible mistake. Toney, on the other hand, has had some stirring late-round knockouts because he's able to accumulate punishment over the long course of the fight.
Work on it, guy. Work on it. I got 1 step back. Hold, 1 step back. Punch. Here we go. Let me go. Come on. Here we go.
But Griffin has some power that he hasn't even shown yet with a good right hand. So he can land a good right hand, but he hasn't even tried to go to the body effectively yet.
In the first fight, Griffin swelled up around the left eye, and he seems to be getting just a tiny bit of swelling around that same eye right now. Probably not enough to bother him at this point. We'll watch it as the fight goes on.
Toney is doing so well with that left jab. You wonder why he stopped. As though he thinks it's a crime to win a fight with your jab.
Toney with some damaging body punches there, and for a moment Griffin was frozen as James clocked him with the right hand. Body punches setting this up.
Griffin stopped to complain to the referee a little bit, and Toney just said, hey, protect yourself at all times.
Griffin tripping over Toney's feet as he fired that barrage of punches, and he comes back with a straight left hand. So certainly Montell has regained his senses after seeming to wobble a little bit from that Toney barrage in the middle minute of the round. Good combo by Griffin to finish the round, and they stare daggers at one another before walking back to the corners.
All you got to do is bend and punch to the bottom. He's ready to get up out of there, James. You making him brave, man. Not letting him get her. All right? Sit and punch to the bottom. You got to suck it up now, man. He's ready to get up out of there.
Get your punches up a little bit, Jimmy, okay?
Okay, he's ready to go. Sit, punch to the bottom. But the important thing is the jab. That's the most important thing in the arsenal.
If he misses, then you go right back with your jab. Double that jab. Come with your hook. And when you're working on the inside, don't stand up too straight.
This is the sort of prize fight in which one good flurry in a round can decide the round. That wasn't it. Early in the round, Toney landed a very good flurry. This is at the end, just before the bell, when Griffin responds, but perhaps too late.
Statistically, both fighters watched their connect percentages rise in round number 7. Toney landed 36 out of 66 punches in a particularly accurate punching round. Griffin 25 out of 52. That's not bad. Harold Letterman, how do you have it through 7?
Jim, 5 rounds to 2, 68-65 James Toney. I still like the effective aggressiveness. I still think he lands the cleaner, harder shots coming forward, and I still think Montell Griffin most of the time punches off the wrong foot.
And I have it 4-2-1 for Toney. We wonder if Griffin has another speed, because he may have to look for another speed as this fight goes along.
He carries his left hand so low, there's no way you can miss him with your jab. He puts his right hand just on the side for a right hand, but not for the jab. If Toney would continue jabbing, he can win this fight hand down. But Griffin has got to make him pay when he misses. Good left jab by Griffin.
Get off that net. Come on.
Toney's punch output going down now as he slows the pace just a little bit in round number 8. Griffin sticking the jab out there, and when Griffin is able to beat Toney to the punch with the jab, James tends to stop punching.
The left jab is your most best. Wow, with a good right hand also, but if you keep your left jab, it's the closest punch to your opponent. He has no protection. He can only block it for a second. Why use the right hand when you're effectively getting the left jab?
And you saw Toney there going back to the strategy that served him so well in the first couple of rounds. Jab to the body, then jab upstairs. Jab to the body, then jab upstairs.
And Griffin does absolutely nothing when Toney jabs him to the body. Nothing. But whenever Toney lands the right hand, Griffin is coming back. He's going to always hit him back.
Toney just a tiny bit short with a right hand that could have done a lot of damage.
Get off that neck, Montell. Come on, let's go. Get him up. Junker, come on, Jimmy. Come down there. Come on, get him up. Come on.
National treasure referee Mills Lane appealingly uninvolved through most of the evening, getting a little bit more into the fray now as the two fighters come into closer and closer quarters as round 8 comes to an end.
You take the guy in the position and you back away from him.
Ninth round coming up there. Ninth round coming up.
Whenever you spin him around, step in. Don't step away from it. Because he's out of it.
Big down and suck this shit up, man. Don't give this guy no opportunity, no window for nothing, man. Pump the jab, step to the man. Step to the man. Let's go to work, man. We got to go to work, man. Step over the jab. And then the hammer's going to come. Move your head. Be smart boxing there. Step to him. No backward step. Watch your balance in there. You have to watch your balance.
You see, you're walking away from him when you don't have to. He want to take his time and walk up. He want to fight his own pace.
In case you're wondering why we haven't gone into Griffin's corner, it's because Eddie Futch would not wear a mic for us. You know, many people, myself included, said during and after the recent Holyfield-Tyson fight that Tyson didn't have a plan B. And I'm wondering now whether Griffin has a plan B, because plan A isn't working.
Griffin is extremely fast. Toney has got to understand that he's only going to get hurt when he throws that right hand and doesn't come back with the left hook. As long as the jab is out there, he's safe.
You heard Eddie Mustafa Muhammad pleading with Toney to throw more jabs.
Sometimes that's what you have to do, is make these guys do it. They've got it in them. Months and months of training. Why hold it back?
Okay, get off that. Get off the net.
Griffin has a counter-punches mentality, which is to say, when Toney punches him, either he wants to get out of there or look to punch after Toney punches. He doesn't want to move in on Toney, where he can really get some leverage and do some damage. He doesn't want to be inside, George, and he's going to have to be there to do something.
But he's kind of afraid, because Toney is so effective when you walk to him a little bit. Griffin evidently is well schooled enough to know that.
Yeah, but it ain't
how
working.
do you do it? So how do you do it without doing it?
Well, but it ain't working.
No, it's not working.
1 minute to go in round 9. It's been a tactical fight all the way. Each man with tiny stretches of effective aggression based on those moments when the fight comes to them. Toney lands a big right hand over the top.
Griffin has some of the most remarkable recover power I've ever seen. You hit him hard, and he's going to hit you back.
Yeah, in that regard, he's kind of a light heavyweight Evander Holyfield. Holyfield recovers faster than any heavyweight I've ever seen. Montell's pretty much the same way.
Well, you can expect if you hit him with a right hand, Montell is going to come back and hit you. But if you jab him, he seems to say, okay.
Lead left hook from Griffin landed. Now Toney gets in a couple of close quarters punches. Round 9 coming to a close, and just as was the case on February 18, 1995, our scorers, Harold Letterman, our unofficial ringside scorer, Larry Merchant, who likes to track it along with him, both of them think James Toney's winning the fight. He was winning the fight 2 years ago at this juncture also. But once again, we remind you, in rounds 10, 11, and 12, on February 18, 1995, Montell Griffin took all 3 rounds on all 3 judges' scorecards to come from behind and win the fight. Toney says, I was in terrible condition, I was sloppy, I'll be better this time.
All right.
All the way.
Use that jab, stay as close to him as you possibly can. Yeah, when you take away his punching range, he can't get anything off.
Okay.
When you're way outside, the guy can get those long punches off.
We stay together, baby. We go all day. This ain't nothing. Now let's go.
Now, you heard what Eddie Futch was saying. I must have heard it from Eddie Futch myself in the past. He was saying you must come inside and not just always go outside. But Griffin's mentality as a counterpuncher is to stay outside unless he's jumping in to hold on as he is now.
Incidentally, you're right. Eddie's not wearing a microphone, but his co-trainer, Thel Torrance, is. And that's why we've been getting good, clear audio out of Montell Griffin's corner.
He's going to have to make a war out of this to change the complexion of the fight. And I think that's what Eddie Futch is communicating to him in technical terms.
Now, the referee allowed him, Montell, to push Toney behind the back. You can really change the whole fight like that because they can get dirty on one another.
Well, as much as most people think of Mills Lane and his refereeing style, you've told me, George, in the past that you think he sometimes allows fights to get out of control.
Yeah, as soon as one of these guys do something, you've got to admonish them right quick. Don't do that again. These things can get dirty. But maybe he just didn't see it that way, huh?
For Griffin, the strategy is obvious. Stay inside or stay wide. If he stays inside or stays wide, he can be effective. When he stands here and allows Toney to jab in that effective punching range for James, it's Toney's fight. Hard right hand inside for Toney. Griffin comes back with a left hook to the rib cage.
All right, ho, what's that back?
Griffin is making that step to his right, but he's not throwing a punch when he does it. If you're going to step over to your left, take a punch along with you.
This fight not all that much different from the fight they fought in February of 1995. The only difference to my eyes, James is just better tonight.
Came out, picked his hands up and started boxing to start the fight himself. And the left jab that Toney's landing to the body are starting to hurt Griffin.
James Toney, whose career was severely damaged by the back-to-back losses to Roy Jones and this man Montell Griffin in 94 and 95, trying to get back to the top of the heap and coming up with an effective tactical effort so far here tonight. At least that's the way we see it.
You see once again Toney lands a good right hand. Montell Griffin comes back and hit him good.
But there you also saw in Capsule why the fight is going the way it is going. When Griffin landed a nice left hook, he just got a smile from Toney because Griffin just doesn't punch hard enough to change the complexion of this fight.
Give me the water. 2 more rounds. Pick it up more. It was a good round, but I know you can pick it up more. All right? Hey, can I pick it up more?
Clean them up, please.
Give me some more. Give me some more rounds. All right?
Let's take a punch stat look at a comparison of the last fight, February 18, 1995, to this one. And you can see punches through round 10. James Toney landing at a higher percentage tonight. Montell Griffin landing at a lower percentage tonight. But neither fighter throwing as many punches tonight as was the case the first time around, and that's not unusual in a rematch when the two fighters know each other so much better, right, George?
You have a tendency to say, I'm going to save that. He got away from that last time. I'm not going to do this again.
You know, at the top of the show, Jim, you asked me what is the point of this rematch? And so far it's been to show whether Toney, when he's properly motivated and in the best shape he can get in, can win a fight against a pretty slick, clever fighter, and he's doing it right now.
I still believe the best shape that Toney can get in is middleweight.
I agree with you, George.
Harold Letterman through 10 rounds. What you got?
Jim, 97, 93, 7 rounds to 3, James Toney. I just keep saying he keeps walking him down, taking it to him, just landing those hard jabs and the right hands underneath.
James Toney is starting to walk to him, not doing anything. You've got to throw punches. You can't let seconds go by and allow the guy to steal around from you.
When Toney
Montell should do that.
When Toney walks to Griffin and doesn't do anything, Griffin is able to step to the side and land.
And I can't see why Griffin doesn't steal it. Just slap him. Slap him.
Tom, don't push off. Okay, step back, King. Come on.
Slapping ain't going to get it anymore, George. You'd have to hit him about 500 slaps around.
Good left hook by James Toney on the button. Backed Griffin up a step or two.
One shot like that makes you slap happy.
Step back clean. Here we go. Come on.
I get the feeling I've seen every sequence in every round before by now. And the ice is melting.
Must leave you in a fever pitch of excitement, right, Larry?
Can't you tell?
Now you see Tony's lip is bleeding from that punch he got in the weigh-in.
That's right.
He showed us the top lip previously, but it was the bottom lip that was hurt.
Yep, little cut inside the lip on the right side of the mouth. That came from the punch that Griffin landed at the end of the press conference dust up the other day. And Toney might be bleeding from that just a tiny bit. Good eyes, George.
I never like to see fighters get overconfident. Hey, I've won every round. I can coast now.
All right, one step back.
Doesn't work like that. These judges see differently.
He's going to try to steal it. You got to give me all you got now. He's going to try to steal this here. You hear what I said? No, I don't need that. Never. Give it to one. Hey, he's going to try to steal it. You know what I'm saying? All right. Get ready, James.
The jab. When the man is
Montell, last round.
when he got to walk to you, use that jab.
Right.
Yeah, use that jab. Double jab once in a while.
Yeah, we straight. But I want you to steal the show, hold the show like a champion should. You hear what I said? All right, don't get lazy in there. Give him a drink of water.
Don't take all those steps back. The guy giving you all these double shots inside, but just do it smartly. Okay?
Miles.
Okay, I got you.
3 minutes. Go. Come on. That's right.
3 minutes, champ. 3 minutes, champ. Okay?
Up there.
What Toney has shown tonight is that, like Junior Jones, who came back after shockingly losing 2 fights, he is young enough and eager enough to want to get back into the hunt. And we checked earlier today with the leading fight odds maker down in Las Vegas, Herb Lembeck, and he said in a rematch between Toney and Jones, if Toney looked fit and ready tonight, that Jones would be about a 3-to-1 favorite, and Jones would be close to a 5-to-1 favorite over Virgil Hill. And those are about the closest odds anybody can see for any future opponents on the horizon for Roy.
He's going to be favored against anyone he fights unless he happens to go up to heavyweight and ask for Evander Holyfield or George Foreman or any other heavyweight who might be up there.
Don't cover yourself. You're doing okay. You know what? Toney is not doing what his corner told him to do. Told him to get out there. Don't allow this guy to steal the show. And he's waiting back like he did in the first fight.
Well, the truth is neither puncher is throwing enough punches to earn himself a clear victory in this round. In the last round, Griffin only threw 42 punches. And if he was going to steal the fight in the late rounds, he would need a bigger output than that.
But you don't want to be in a position where you're hitting him back. You want to be in a position where he's trying to hit you back for what you've just done to him.
Minute and a half to go in the 12th round. Is James Toney less than 90 seconds away from the next step in his path toward redemption? Or is Montell Griffin on the verge of another stunning upset? We'll find out when this goes to the judges in 70 more seconds.
There's a rumor we only have one set of judges for this fight. Jim, is that correct?
What?
Kind of unusual, huh?
Unlike last week.
Yeah, the reference is to 2 weeks ago in Florida when 2 sets of judges were required to judge the fight between Roy Jones and Mike McCallum. One from the state of Florida and one from a governing body.
Well, the WBC was right at that time to look for officials from outside of Florida.
Toney should pick up his feet and act energetic even if he's not.
That's what the crowd is saying.
Win the last round. Win the last round. Griffin should just take over and just go.
What in the world is Griffin doing? Does he think he's won this fight?
Oh, yeah, look at the good footwork.
Well,
There's the bell. That's the end of the bout.
it appeared to me to be a solid and almost completely dominating performance by Toney.
And I repeat,
But I am the first word, not the last word.
Last time around, these HBO scorecards went in favor of James Toney as well, and then the Nevada judges confounded us by going in exactly the opposite direction. So let's bring in Harold Letterman for what may or may not be an accurate look at what the Vegas judges
Jim,
are.
I'll tell you, I absolutely have to agree with Larry Merchant. 117, 111, 9 rounds to 3, a solid win for James Toney. You know, it's clean punching and effective aggressiveness. James just carried it to him. He walked him down, he backed him up, he whacked him with the left jab, hit him with some tremendous hooks to the body. And Montell kept throwing those leaping punches like Floyd Patterson used to throw. And he was so off balance when he landed. I just think he won very few rounds. On the other hand, Toney, solid punching. He carried the fight. He deserves the victory.
George Foreman, you agree?
Yeah, I agree. It went pretty much like Harold Letterman said. I see it in the same fashion. But Griffith finished the last round on his feet with footwork, and maybe the judges think, hey, maybe he did win. All kind of things can happen in these boxing matches.
Watch your left. Watch your left. Watch your baby. Lady, watch your baby.
Yeah, I can't go back from you.
Well, right now, let's go to ring announcer Mark Barrow for the official decision of the judges.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the decision of the judges. Judge John Rupert scores it 116-112. Judge Keith McDonald scores it 116-112. Judge Doug Tucker scores it 119-109 for the WBU light heavyweight champion of the world, Montell Griffin.
It happened again. This time, our ringside observers, Letterman, Merchant, Foreman, even more convinced than the last time that James Toney had won the fight, and once again, Montell Griffin gets the decision. This time, a unanimous decision over James Toney.